You won't believe what I'm about to tell you. Seriously, if someone had told me this story a few years ago, I would have called them a liar. But it happened to me. It happened to my family. You need to hear this because it proves that you never really know what's going on behind closed doors, even in the nicest neighborhoods. And you definitely need to stick around to see how I handled the man who thought he could treat my daughter like dirt. Let's just say revenge is a dish best served cold, but justice? Justice is best served with a surprise that leaves everyone speechless. What I did to this guy. Well, it's something people in our town are still talking about. You have to see how this ends. It all started on a Tuesday. A rainy, gray Tuesday that felt like the sky was weeping right along with me, though I didn't know it yet. I was sitting in the back of a taxi, watching the familiar streets of my old hometown roll by. Had been 15 years. 15 long, hard years since I'd walked these sidewalks. I left when I was broke, desperate, and barely holding it together. I left my little girl, Emma, behind. It was the hardest thing I ever had to do. I left her with my sister because I couldn't afford to feed her, let alone give her the life she deserved. I promised her I'd come back. I promised her I'd return as a king, and I'd treat her like a princess. Well, I kept the first part of that promise. I went overseas. I worked jobs that would break most men. I started in construction, moved to logistics, and eventually, through a mix of luck and relentless grinding, I started my own shipping company. Blew up. I'm talking big money. The kind of money where you don't look at price tags anymore. But I never married again. I never spent much on myself. Every dollar was for Emma. I sent checks back home every month, but about 5 years ago, communication got spotty. My sister passed away, and Emma, who was a grown woman by then, sent me a letter saying she was getting married and that she was happy. She told me not to worry, that she didn't need the money anymore, and that her husband, a guy named Liam, was taking care of everything. That hurt, I won't lie. A father wants to be needed. But I respected it. I stayed away, building the empire, waiting for the right moment to retire and come home to surprise her. And that's what this trip was. The surprise. I hadn't told a soul I was coming. I wanted to just show up, knock on the door and see the look on her face. I imagined her running into my arms, crying happy tears. I imagined meeting this Liam guy and shaking his hand, thanking him for loving my daughter. Man, was I naive. The taxi driver, a chatty guy named Mike, looked at me in the rearview mirror. "You been away long, pal?" he asked. I nodded, staring out at the new strip malls and coffee shops that had replaced the old mom-and-pop stores. 15 years, I said. Town's changed a lot. Mike chuckled. You ain't kidding. Property values are through the roof. Especially over in the Oakwood district. That's where you're headed, right? Yeah, I said. Oakwood. That's where the house was. The house my parents had owned. The house I had signed over to Emma when I left so she'd always have a roof over her head. It was a beautiful old colonial place. I hoped she had kept it up. When the taxi pulled up to the curb, my heart started hammering against my ribs. I paid Mike and gave him a tip that made his eyes pop out of his head. I grabbed my single duffel bag. I didn't want to look rich, I wanted to look like just her dad, and stood on the sidewalk. The house. It looked okay. The paint was a little peeling, and the grass was overgrown, which surprised me. Emma used to love gardening. She used to spend hours out here planting marigolds and tulips. Now, the flower beds were full of weeds. A strange feeling settled in my stomach. Call it a father's intuition. Something was off. I walked up the driveway, but instead of going straight to the front door, I hesitated. I wanted to catch a glimpse of her first. Just a peek. I stepped off the pavement and walked quietly across the grass, circling around to the side of the house where the big bay window of the dining room was. The curtains were drawn, but there was a gap. I leaned in, squinting against the glare. What I saw made my blood run cold. The dining room was a mess. Not a lived-in mess, but a chaotic mess. And there, in the middle of the floor, was Emma. Emma. She was on her hands and knees. She was scrubbing the hardwood floor with a rag. That alone wouldn't have been weird. People clean their floors. But she was wearing old, tattered sweatpants and a stained t-shirt that looked 3 sizes too big. Her hair, which used to be her pride and joy, was matted and tied back in a messy bun. But that wasn't the worst part. Sitting at the head of the table, feet propped up on the polished wood, was a man. He was wearing a sharp suit, looking at his phone, laughing at something on the screen. He held a glass of amber liquid in one hand. He looked like he owned the world. I watched as he took a sip, swished it around in his mouth, and then, I swear to you, I almost broke the window right then and there. He spit it out onto the floor, right where Emma had just cleaned. "Missed a spot, babe," the man said. I could hear him through the glass because the window was cracked open just an inch at the bottom. His voice was smug, arrogant. Emma didn't yell. She didn't throw the rag at him. She just flinched. She kept her head down, her shoulders shaking. She crawled over to the spot where he had spit and started scrubbing it up, silent tears streaming down her face. I felt a rage so hot it almost blinded me. I wanted to kick the door down. I wanted to storm in there and tear that guy limb from limb. That had to be Liam. The man, she said, was taking care of everything. But I stopped myself. I've done business with sharks and snakes my whole life. One thing I learned is that you never show your hand until you know exactly what you're dealing with. If I stormed in there now, he might have a weapon. He might have leverage on her. Or worse, Emma might be so broken that she'd defend him out of fear. I needed to know the full picture. I needed to know how deep this rot went. I stepped back from the window, my heart breaking into a million pieces. My little girl. My princess. On her knees, serving this piece of garbage in her own home. The home I gave her. I retreated to the street and walked down to a motel about a mile away. It was a dive, but I didn't care. I checked into a room that smelled like stale cigarettes and sat on the edge of the bed, my hands shaking. Took out my phone. I still had contacts. Had money. And money talks. "I need a full background check," I said into the phone, calling a private investigator I used for corporate vetting. "Name is Liam. Last name probably Miller, based on Emma's old letters. Lives at 42 Oakwood Drive. I want to know everything. Debts, criminal record, side chicks, everything. And I need it by tomorrow morning." I didn't sleep that night. I just lay there, staring at the ceiling, replaying that image of Emma scrubbing the floor. I remembered when she was 5, how she'd spill juice and look at me with big, terrified eyes, and I'd just laugh and say, "It's okay, accidents happen." I never made her scrub. I never made her feel small. How did she end up with a monster like this? The next morning the report came in. It was worse than I thought. Liam wasn't just a jerk. He was a parasite. He had zero income. No job. He had racked up massive gambling debts in Atlantic City. And here was the kicker. He was in the process of trying to refinance the house. My house. Well, Emma's house. But since the deed was in her name, he needed her signature. The report noted that neighbors had called the police twice in the last year for domestic disturbances, but no charges were ever filed. Emma always sent the cops away, saying it was just a misunderstanding. That broke me even more. She was protecting him. Or she was too scared to tell the truth. I showered, shaved, and put on the most basic clothes I had. Jeans and a gray flannel shirt. I grabbed a baseball cap and pulled it low. I wasn't going in as James, the millionaire CEO. I was going in as James, the broke dad looking for a place to crash. I needed to see how Liam treated people he thought were beneath him. I needed to see if there was any fight left in Emma. I walked back to the house around noon. The sun was shining, but the house still looked gloomy. I walked up the driveway and pressed the doorbell. Waited. 1 minute. 2 minutes. Finally the door creaked open. It was Emma. When she saw me, her eyes went wide. Her hand flew to her mouth. For a second, I saw the little girl I left behind. "Dad," she whispered. Her voice was raspy, like she hadn't used it much lately. "Hi, sweetie," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. "I'm home." She didn't hug me. She looked over her shoulder, terrified. "Dad, you can't be here. You didn't say you were coming." "I wanted to surprise you," I said, stepping a little closer. I saw the bruise on her arm now. It was fresh, blooming purple and yellow just below her elbow. "Emma, what happened to your arm?" She immediately pulled her sleeve down. "Nothing. I bumped into the doorframe. I'm clumsy, you know that." She forced a smile, but it didn't reach her eyes. Her eyes were dead. "Dad, you have to go." "Liam. He doesn't like visitors." "Who is it?" a booming voice shouted from inside. Emma flinched. It's nobody, Liam. Just a salesman," she yelled back, her voice trembling. "I'm not a salesman, Emma," I whispered. "I'm your father. Let me in." She looked torn. She looked like she wanted to jump into my arms, but the fear was stronger. Before she could answer, the door was yanked open wider. Liam stood there. Close, he was even slimier. Slicked back hair, expensive watch, cheap cologne that smelled like vanilla and desperation. He looked me up and down, sneering at my worn-out flannel and dusty boots. "Who's this bum?" Liam asked, not even looking at me but talking to Emma. "It's my dad," Emma said softly, looking at the floor. "James." Liam raised an eyebrow. "The deadbeat. The one who ran off to Europe or whatever." He laughed, a cruel barking sound. Well, well. The prodigal father returns. "What do you want?" "Money. Because we don't have any for handouts." I clenched my fists in my pockets. I could buy and sell this guy 100 times over before breakfast. But I held it in. "I don't want money," I said, making my voice sound weary. "Things didn't work out over there. I just wanted to see my daughter. Maybe stay for a few days until I get on my feet." Liam looked at Emma, then back at me. I saw the gears turning in his head. He saw a weak old man. He saw someone he could bully. And maybe, just maybe, he saw free labor. "Stay here," Liam scoffed. "This isn't a charity shelter, old man. We have expenses." "I can work," I said quickly. "I saw the yard is a mess. Can fix the roof. Can paint. I'll earn my keep. Just let me spend some time with Emma." Emma looked at Liam, pleading silently with her eyes. "Please, Liam. He can sleep in the basement. He won't be a bother." Liam scratched his chin, looking at the overgrown lawn. "The gardener wanted $300 to clear those weeds," he muttered. He looked at me with a wicked grin. "Fine. You can stay in the basement. It's unfinished, cold and damp, but if you're desperate, it's a roof. But you work for it. You do the yard, you fix the gutters, and you stay out of my way. And don't expect to eat our food unless you earn it." "Deal," I said. "Dad, no," Emma whispered. "It's too cold down there." "It's fine, Emma," I said, looking her right in the eye. "I'm tough. I can handle it." Liam clapped his hands together. "Great. Start with the lawn. The mower is in the shed. It's busted, so you'll have to push hard. Get to it, chops." He turned around and walked back into the cool, air-conditioned house, leaving the door open. Emma lingered for a second. "I'm sorry, Dad," she whispered. "He's just stressed. He's looking for work." "It's okay, honey," I said. "Go inside." She closed the door. I was alone on the porch. Phase 1 was complete. I was inside. I spent the next 3 hours pushing a rusty lawnmower through knee-high grass under the hot sun. Every muscle in my body ached, but I didn't stop. Every time I passed the dining room window, I looked inside. I saw Liam sitting on the couch watching TV. I saw Emma running back and forth, bringing him snacks, refilling his drink, taking his shoes off. It was sickening. It was like watching a slave serve a king. He didn't even say thank you. He just pointed at things, and she scrambled to get them. Around 4 p.m., I took a break to drink from the garden hose. The back door opened and Liam stepped out. He was smoking a cigar. "Missed a spot by the fence," he said, pointing. "I'll get it," I said, wiping sweat from my forehead. "You better," he said. "So James, right? What exactly did you do for 15 years? Beg on street corners." "Construction," I lied. "Odd jobs. It's a tough economy." "Yeah, well, some of us are built for success and some are built for He gestured at me and the lawnmower. I'm an entrepreneur, you see. Big ideas. Just waiting for the capital to flow in. Once Emma signs those papers, I'm gonna turn this whole place into a gold mine. What papers? I asked, playing dumb. Refinancing, he said, taking a puff. Getting the equity out of this dump. Gonna invest in a crypto startup. Huge returns. But she's being difficult. Hesitant. Women, right? No vision. Right, I said. No vision. She thinks this house is special because her grandma lived here or whatever. It's just wood and brick. Cash is king. He flicked his cigar ash onto the patio I had just swept. Make sure you sweep that up. He went back inside. My blood was boiling. He was going to leverage the house, lose the money on some scam, and leave Emma homeless. I knew his type. I ate guys like him for lunch in the business world. But here in this house he held the cards, or so he thought. That night I was shown to the basement. It was exactly as he described. Damp, dark, concrete floor. There was an old cot in the corner with a thin mattress. No heating. Emma came down around 9 p.m. with a plate of food. It was leftovers, some cold pasta and a piece of bread. She looked terrified that Liam would catch her. Here, Dad, she whispered. I'm sorry, it's not much. He counts the food. I took the plate and set it down on a crate. I took her hands in mine. They were rough, calloused from cleaning. Emma, I said softly. Look at me. Why do you stay with him? She pulled her hands away and wrapped her arms around herself. I have to. Where would I go? Have no money. He says if I leave, he'll tell everyone I'm crazy. He says he'll make sure I never get a job in this town. He knows people. He doesn't know anyone, Emma, I said. He's a liar. You don't understand, she hissed, tears welling up. He's aggressive. If I try to leave, he gets so angry. And I can't risk it. Not with Noah. Froze. Noah. She bit her lip. My son. Your grandson. He's 5. My heart stopped. A grandson. I had a grandson. Where is he? I haven't seen him. He's at a sleepover at his friend's house. He comes back tomorrow. Liam doesn't like him much. He says kids are noisy. So I try to keep Noah out of the house as much as possible. Or in his room. Quiet. Child. There was a child involved in this nightmare. That changed everything. If Liam was treating Emma like this, what was he doing to a 5-year-old boy? Emma, I said, my voice dropping to a serious, low tone. Listen to me very carefully. I am not the man who left 15 years ago. I didn't come back broke. She looked at me, confused. What? I have money, Emma. A lot of it. I can get you out of here. Tonight. You and Noah. We can go to a hotel, a nice one. We can call the police. She shook her head violently. No, you can't. He has photos. He said if I ever leave, he'll post things online. Lies about me. He said he'd call CPS and tell them I'm a drug addict. He planted stuff in my bathroom once just to prove he could do it. Dad, you don't know him. He's evil. I know evil, I said. And I know how to crush it. Please, she begged, grabbing my arm. Just don't do anything crazy. Just stay here. Help me around the house. Maybe if the house is cleaner, he won't be so angry. Just be my dad for a little while. Please. She was broken. Completely terrified. If I acted too fast, she might panic. I needed to show her I could protect her. I needed to deconstruct Liam's control piece by piece. Okay, I lied. I won't do anything crazy. I'll just help. She hugged me, a quick, fragile hug, and then ran back upstairs before Liam noticed she was gone. I sat on the cot in the dark basement. I didn't eat the pasta. Took out my phone. The signal was weak down here, but it was enough. I sent a text to my head of security, a guy named Marcus who used to be Special Forces. *text to Marcus. I need a team in Oakwood. And by Also, get me the best lawyer in the state. One who specializes in fraud and domestic abuse. I want this guy buried. But not yet. I need to catch him in the act. I need undeniable proof so he never sees daylight again. Asterisk. Asterisk. Marcus replied instantly. On it, boss. We're 2 hours out. Asterisk. Put the phone away. I lay back on the cot and listened to the floorboards creaking above me. I could hear Liam's heavy footsteps. I could hear the TV blaring. Tomorrow I would meet my grandson. And tomorrow, Liam was going to make the biggest mistake of his life. He thought he had a new servant in the basement. What he actually had was a demolition expert. And I was just waiting to light the fuse. The concrete floor of the basement was unforgiving. I woke up with a stiff neck and an aching back, the damp cold of the underground seeping into my bones. For a split second I forgot where I was. I reached out for the high thread count sheets of my penthouse bed in London, but my hand hit the rough, unfinished wall of the cellar. Then it all came flooding back. The house. Liam. Emma on her knees. I sat up, rubbing my face. The anger was still there, simmering in my gut like a pot of hot oil. But I had to keep a lid on it. Today was the day I met my grandson. Today was the day I started gathering the nails for Liam's coffin. Check my phone. 6 a.m. A text from Marcus. Asterisk. Team is in position. Van parked down the street. Surveillance active. We have audio on the house. Say the word, boss. Asterisk. I typed back. Asterisk. Hold. I need him to sign his own death warrant. Wait for the signal. Asterisk. I hid the expensive smartphone inside a hollowed-out space behind a loose brick in the wall. I couldn't risk Liam seeing it. Then I put on my work boots and headed upstairs. The house was quiet. I started a pot of coffee. Cheap, bitter stuff that was sitting on the counter. I heard heavy footsteps upstairs. Then the sound of a shower. 20 minutes later, Emma came down. She looked exhausted, like she hadn't slept a wink. She was wearing a long-sleeved shirt, even though it was going to be 80 degrees today. Hiding more bruises, I guessed. Morning, Dad, she whispered, glancing nervously at the stairs. Morning, sweetie, I said. How are you? Fine. I'm fine. She started pulling pans out. I have to make his eggs. Over easy. If the yolk breaks, he gets upset. I watched her hands shake as she cracked the eggs. Killed me. My daughter, who used to run track and field, who was so confident she'd debate her teachers, was now terrified of an egg yolk breaking. Let me do it, I said, gently taking the spatula from her. No, he wants me to. I'm a pro at eggs, I lied. Go set the table. Sit down for a second. She hesitated, then nodded gratefully. I cooked the breakfast. Bacon, eggs, toast. I made a plate fit for a king. Then Liam came down. He was wearing a bathrobe, scratching his stomach. He didn't even look at Emma. He went straight to the coffee pot, poured a mug, took a sip and grimaced. Who made this swill? He spat. I did, I said from the stove. Fresh pot. He sneered at me. Tastes like mud. But I guess a beggar can't be a chooser, right, James? Speaking of which, the gutters are clogged. After you finish playing chef, get up on the ladder. Sure thing, Liam, I said, plating the food. He sat down and dug into the eggs. He didn't ask Emma if she was hungry. He didn't offer her a piece of bacon. He just ate, scrolling on his phone. Emma sat silently with a piece of dry toast. So, Liam said, chewing with his mouth open. The kid comes back today. Emma stiffened. Yes. Noah will be home around 10. Great, Liam groaned. Make sure he keeps it down. I have important business calls. I'm closing a major deal regarding the investment strategy. I can't have a brat running around screaming. He's not a brat, I said. The words slipped out before I could stop them. Liam stopped chewing. He looked at me slowly. Excuse me. I said he's not a brat. He's 5. Liam put his fork down. The air in the room got heavy. Listen here, old man. You're a guest who lives in my basement. You don't get an opinion on how I run my house or what I call the kid. You got that. I gripped the spatula so hard I thought the handle would snap. Got it. Good. Now get out of my kitchen. You smell like mildew. I walked out the back door, my heart pounding. I needed to see Noah. I needed to know if he was okay. I spent the next 3 hours cleaning gutters. It was dangerous work on a rickety ladder, but it gave me a perfect vantage point. I could see into the second-floor office where Liam was. He wasn't making business calls. He was playing online poker. I watched him lose $500 in 20 minutes. He slammed his fist on the desk, cursing. Then, around 10 a.m., a minivan pulled up. A mom from the neighborhood hopped out and opened the back door. Climbed a little boy. My breath caught in my throat. He had Emma's eyes and my chin. He was small for his age, wearing a superhero t-shirt that was a little faded. He clutched a backpack to his chest like a shield. Emma ran out the front door. Noah! The boy dropped his bag and ran to her. She scooped him up, burying her face in his neck. It was the first time I'd seen a real smile on her face since I arrived. But as she hugged him, I saw Noah's eyes dart toward the house. He wasn't looking at the flowers. He was looking to see if he was there. That look. A 5-year-old shouldn't have to check the perimeter before entering his own home. I climbed down the ladder and walked around the front. Emma saw me and smiled tentatively. Noah, she said, putting him down. Look who's here. This is my dad. Your Grandpa James. Noah looked up at me. He adjusted his glasses. He didn't smile. He just studied me with a seriousness that broke my heart. You're the grandpa from the pictures, he asked. I am, I said, crouching down to his level. Hi, Noah. It's really good to meet you. Mom said you were exploring the world, Noah said. I was, I nodded. But I'm done exploring now. I came back to hang out with you. Noah looked at my dirty clothes and the work gloves in my pocket. You look dirty. I laughed. Yeah, well, I'm helping fix up the house. Grandpas are good at fixing things. Noah's eyes lit up just a fraction. Can you fix my truck? The wheel fell off. Liam stepped on it. He lowered his voice when he said Liam's name. I bet I can fix it, I promised. We can take a look at it later. Noah, get inside. Liam's voice boomed from the open window above us. Noah flinched so hard he almost fell over. The light vanished from his eyes instantly. He grabbed Emma's hand. Coming. Emma called back, her voice trembling. Go on, honey. Go to your room. I'll bring you a snack. They hurried inside. I stood there in the driveway, staring at the window. Enjoy your power trip while it lasts, Liam, I thought. Because the clock is ticking. The rest of the day was a masterclass in restraint. Liam made sure to keep me busy with the worst jobs he could find. He made me dig up a tree stump in the backyard with a dull shovel. He made me clean out the garage, which was filled with his hoarding junk. Broken electronics, old fitness equipment he never used, stacks of magazines. While I was in the garage, I found something interesting. A box of unpaid bills. Not just utility bills. Final notices. Credit card debt. And a letter from a loan shark company in the city that was definitely not a bank. The interest rates were criminal. He was drowning. That's why he was so desperate for Emma to sign the house papers. He needed the equity to pay off the sharks before they came for his kneecaps. I took photos of everything with my hidden phone and sent them to Marcus. Asterisk text to Marcus. He owes about $50,000 to the wrong people. He's desperate. The refinance is his Hail Mary. Confirm the bank he's using. Asterisk. Asterisk Marcus. Already on it. The bank is Citywide Trust. We have a contact there. We can freeze the application, but it's better if you let him think he's winning until the end. Asterisk. Asterisk me agreed. Let him dig the hole deeper. Asterisk. 6 p.m. I was allowed back inside. I was filthy and exhausted, but I didn't care. I went to the basement, washed up in the utility sink, and changed into a fresh flannel shirt. I heard a commotion upstairs. I hurried up the steps. In the living room, Noah was sitting on the floor, crying silently. He was holding the pieces of a plastic truck. Liam was standing over him, face red. "I told you not to leave your toys in the hallway," Liam shouted. "I almost tripped. This house is a pigsty because of you." "I'm sorry," Noah squeaked. "It slipped." "Slipped. You're clumsy. Just like your mother. Useless." Liam kicked the pieces of the toy across the room. Emma ran in from the kitchen. "Liam, up. He's just a baby. He's 5. He needs to learn respect." Liam turned on her. "And you? Why isn't dinner on the table?" "I've been working all day. It's almost ready. Just nothing." "You're lazy, Emma. I do everything for this family. I'm trying to secure our future, and you can't even make a meatloaf on time." He raised his hand. He didn't hit her, but he made a motion like he was going to backhand her. Emma cowered, covering her face. That was it. I stepped into the room. I didn't shout. I didn't run. I just walked in with a presence that filled the space. "That's enough," I said. My voice was low, calm, and dangerous. Liam spun around. "What did you say, old man?" I said, "That's enough. You don't talk to them like that." Liam laughed, but it was a nervous laugh. "Or what? You gonna hit me with your walker? Get back in the basement, James. This is family business." "This is my family," I said, stepping between him and Emma. "And I'm not going to the basement until you calm down." Liam puffed out his chest. He was younger than me, taller, and probably thought he was stronger. He didn't know I stayed in shape by boxing 3 times a week with a former heavyweight champion. "You want to go, old man?" Liam sneered, balling his fists. "I'll throw you out on the street right now." "Dad, please," Emma cried, grabbing my arm. "Don't. He'll hurt you." She was worried about me. I looked Liam dead in the eye. I didn't blink. "Go ahead, Liam. Throw me out. But remember, I'm the one fixing up this house for you. You want the lawn finished. You want the roof patched. You need me." It was a gamble. I appealed to his greed, not his humanity. Liam stared at me, his jaw working. He weighed the options. He needed the free labor. He unclenched his fists. "You're lucky," he muttered. "You're lucky I'm a generous guy. Now get out of my sight. Go eat your dinner on the porch. I don't want to look at you." He stormed off toward the dining room. Turned to Noah. I picked up the broken pieces of the truck. "Hey buddy," I whispered. "Don't worry. Can fix this. I have special glue downstairs. It'll be stronger than new." Noah sniffled and nodded. "Thank you, Grandpa." I looked at Emma. "Are you okay?" She nodded, wiping her tears. "You shouldn't have done that. He's going to be worse later." "No," I said. "He won't be. Trust me." I took my plate of meatloaf and went out to the back porch. I sat in the dark, listening to the crickets. My hands were shaking, not from fear, but from the effort of not smashing Liam's face into the wall. I pulled out the phone again. Asterisk text to Marcus. He threatened violence. It's escalating. I need the recording devices planted in the living room and kitchen ASAP. Tonight, asterisk. Asterisk Marcus. Copy that. We have a window. When he goes to sleep, open the back door. My guy will slip in. Asterisk. I ate the cold meatloaf. Tasted like victory. Because tonight the trap was being set. Around midnight, the house went dark. Liam had passed out after drinking half a bottle of whiskey. I heard the bottle clink into the recycling bin. Emma and Noah were in their rooms. I quietly unlocked the back door. A shadow moved in the garden. A man dressed in black slipped inside. It was one of Marcus's guys, a tech specialist named Dave. "Kitchen, living room, master bedroom?" Dave whispered. "Skip the bedroom," I said. "Too risky. Just the common areas. I need clear audio of everything he says." Dave nodded and went to work. He was a ghost. In 10 minutes, He had planted tiny high-fidelity microphones under the coffee table, behind the fridge, and inside a decorative vase in the hallway. They were invisible. "Live feed is up," Dave whispered, tapping his tablet. "We hear everything in the van. Cloud backup secure. Good. Go." Dave vanished into the night. I locked the door and went back to the basement. Now we had ears. Every threat, every insult, every admission of fraud would be recorded. The next morning, the tension was thick enough to cut with a knife. It was Friday, the day the notary was supposed to come. Liam was manic. He was pacing around the living room, sweating. "They're coming at 4 p.m., Emma," he shouted. "You have to sign. No reading the fine print, no questions. Just sign. The interest rates are shifting, we have to lock it in." "But Liam," Emma said softly, clutching her coffee cup. "I don't understand why the loan is for so much. The house is only worth—" "Don't worry about the numbers," he snapped. "I told you it's for the business. It's leverage. You want to be poor forever. You want your dad living in the basement like a rat. If you sign this, we can maybe afford to put him in a home or something." He was using me as leverage now. Disgusting. I just want to read it first," Emma said, showing a tiny spark of resistance. Liam slammed his hand on the table. Noah, who was coloring in the corner, jumped. "You don't trust me. Is that it? After everything I do for you?" Liam started the guilt trip. "I took you in when you had nothing. I raised that kid like he was my own, even though he's clearly slow." "He is not slow," Emma yelled back. "Sign the papers, Emma," Liam roared, grabbing her wrist. "Or so help me God, I will take Noah and you will never see him again. I'll tell the courts you're unstable. I'll show them the pill bottles I kept from when you had postpartum depression. Do you want that?" Emma crumbled. The fight left her eyes. "No, please. I'll sign." "Good," Liam hissed, letting go of her arm. 4 p.m. Be ready. And make sure he pointed at the basement door, "is nowhere to be seen. If that old bum ruins this for me, I'll kill him." I heard all of this from the top of the basement stairs. The microphone in the hallway heard it too. The servers in the van down the street were recording every syllable. We had him on blackmail. We had him on threats. But I needed more. I needed him to admit the fraud. I needed him to admit that the money wasn't for business, but for his debts. I retreated down the stairs and texted Marcus. *me. It's going down at 4 p.m. Get the lawyer ready. And get the police on standby for domestic abuse and extortion. Marcus. Lawyer is drafting the intervention now. Police contact is aware. We are ready to breach. I spent the day staying out of sight, just like Liam wanted. But I wasn't hiding. I was preparing. I found an old suit jacket of mine that I had left in the closet upstairs 15 years ago. Amazingly, it was still there, pushed to the back of the guest closet. Smelled like cedar. I brushed it off. It wasn't perfect, but it was better than the flannel. I checked on Noah when Liam went out to get more booze. Noah was in his room, staring out the window. "Hey, buddy," I said, slipping into the room. "Look what I have." I held out his truck. It was fixed. I had used industrial epoxy from my toolkit. Noah's face lit up. "You fixed it. Told you. Grandpas can fix anything." I sat on the edge of his bed. "Noah, I need you to be brave today, okay?" "Why?" he asked, spinning the wheels of the truck. "Because things are going to change. Today the bad stuff stops. But there might be some yelling later. When that happens, I want you to put on your headphones and listen to your music, okay? Don't come out until I come get you." Noah looked at me with those big, smart eyes. "Are you going to make Liam go away?" The question hit me like a punch. Even the kid knew. "Yes, Noah," I said. "I'm going to make him go away." "Okay," Noah whispered. "I'll be brave." I hugged him. He felt so small. I vowed right then that no one would ever make him feel small again. 4 p.m. arrived. The doorbell rang. I was in the basement listening. "Hi, I'm Sarah, the mobile notary," a woman's voice said. "Come in, come in." Liam's voice was overly friendly, dripping with fake charm. "My wife is just in the kitchen. We're so excited to get this done." They walked into the dining room. Chairs scrape. "All right," the notary said. "These are the documents for the cash-out refinance. Total loan amount is $450,000. The primary borrower is Emma Miller. Liam Miller is the co-signer. Sign here, here, and here." "Honey, come here," Liam called out. I heard Emma's slow footsteps. "Right here, babe," Liam said. "Just your signature. Easy peasy." "Liam, this says the monthly payment is $3,000. Emma's voice shook. "We can't afford that." "I told you, the investment will cover it," Liam hissed, his voice dropping so the notary wouldn't hear the venom. "Sign the damn paper." "Is everything okay?" the notary asked. "She's just nervous." Liam laughed loudly. "First big loan, you know. But we have a solid plan." "Right, honey." There was a silence. A long, painful silence. I knew Emma was holding the pen, her hand trembling, looking at the line that would sign her life away. That was my cue. I put on the old suit jacket. I straightened my collar. I didn't look like a handyman anymore. I looked like James, the James who built an empire. I walked up the basement stairs, kicked the door open. It banged against the wall with a loud crash. Liam spun around. The notary jumped. Emma dropped the pen. "What the hell?" Liam shouted. "I told you to stay downstairs." I ignored him. I walked straight into the dining room. I didn't look at the floor. I looked at the notary. "Don't let her sign that," I said, my voice commanding the room. "Who are you?" the notary asked, eyes wide. "He's nobody," Liam yelled, stepping toward me. "He's my wife's crazy, homeless father. Get back in the basement before I drag you there." I stood my ground. I pulled a folded document from my inside pocket. It wasn't a weapon. It was a piece of paper I had Marcus print out and slide under the back door an hour ago. "I'm not homeless, Liam," I said calmly. "And Emma isn't signing that because this house doesn't belong to her anymore." Liam froze. "What are you talking about?" "The deed is in her name." "Not as of this morning," I bluffed. "Check the county registry." "But more importantly," I turned to the notary, "this man is coercing her. He is currently under investigation for fraud, gambling debts, and extortion. If you notarize this, you will be an accessory." The notary pulled the papers back instantly. "Whoa, I'm not getting involved in this." Liam's face turned purple. The veins in his neck bulged. He realized his plan was falling apart. He realized the money he needed to save his skin, was slipping away. He snapped. "You old ruin!" Liam screamed. He grabbed a heavy glass vase from the table and swung it at my head. "Dad!" Emma screamed. I didn't flinch. I didn't have to. Before the vase could connect, the front door exploded inward. "Police! Drop it!" 3 uniformed officers and 2 men in suits stormed into the room, guns drawn. Liam froze, the vase held high in the air. He looked at the cops, then at me, then at Emma. Confusion washed over his face. How did the police get here so fast?" "Drop the weapon and get on the ground. Now!" the lead officer shouted. Liam slowly lowered the vase. His hands were shaking. He dropped to his knees, the same position he had forced Emma into so many times. One of the men in suits walked over to me. It was Marcus. He looked sharp. "You okay, sir?" Marcus asked. "I'm fine," I said, brushing dust off my old jacket. Liam looked up from the floor, his eyes wide with shock. "Sir, who are you?" I stepped closer to him, looking down. "I'm the man whose house you've been living in. I'm the man whose daughter you tormented. And I'm the man who just bought your debt from your loan shark this morning." Liam's jaw dropped. You have money." I have all the money, I said coldly. And I own you now, Liam. But don't worry, I'm not going to break your legs. I'm going to let the state prison system handle you. The cops hauled him up and cuffed him. As they dragged him out, he was screaming, crying, begging Emma to help him. Emma didn't move. She just watched him go. When the door closed, silence filled the room. The notary packed up her bag and ran out. Emma looked at me. She looked at Marcus. She looked at the suit jacket I was wearing. "Dad," she whispered. "What is going on?" I walked over to her and took her hands. "It's over, sweetie. He's gone. For a long, long time. But the police, the debt. You said." "I lied about being broke, Emma," I said gently. "I wanted to surprise you, but when I saw what was happening, I had to make sure I could get him out of your life permanently. I have a company in London. I'm wealthy, Emma. Very wealthy." She stared at me, trying to process it. "You're rich." "Yes, and so are you. You never have to worry about money again. You never have to scrub a floor again unless you want to." Tears welled up in her eyes. Not tears of sadness, but of relief. Heavy, exhausting relief. She collapsed into my arms, sobbing. I held her tight, stroking her hair like she was a little girl again. "It's okay," I murmured. "I've got you. I promise I've got you." Just then the hallway door creaked open. Noah stood there, wearing his big headphones, holding his fixed truck. He looked at the empty room. He looked at Emma crying. He looked at me. He took off his headphones. "Is the bad man gone?" he asked quietly. I pulled away from Emma and opened my arms to him. "Yeah, buddy. The bad man is gone. He's never coming back." Noah ran to us. We huddled together in the middle of the dining room, a pile of broken pieces finally starting to come back together. But the story wasn't quite over. There was still the matter of the surprise I had originally planned. And there was one more thing I needed to do to make sure Emma and Noah understood just how different their lives were about to be. "Pack a bag," I said to them, wiping my own eyes. "Where are we going?" Emma asked, sniffing. I smiled, a real, genuine smile. "Somewhere where no one can find us for a while. Somewhere with a beach. And then we're going to go house hunting. 'Cause I think you guys deserve a fresh start. A real one." We walked out of that house and didn't look back. Not even once. I had my duffel bag, Emma had a quickly packed suitcase, and Noah had his backpack with a fixed truck inside. The sun was setting, painting the sky in shades of purple and orange, but for the first time in days, the colors looked beautiful instead of ominous. Marcus was waiting by the curb. But he wasn't in the van anymore. He was standing next to a sleek, black luxury SUV with tinted windows. He opened the back door for us. "Where to, boss?" Marcus asked, smiling at Noah. "The Ritz-Carlton downtown," I said. "The presidential suite." "And Marcus, order room service. Everything on the menu. We're starving." Noah's eyes went wide. "Everything. Everything, kiddo," I said, ruffling his hair. The ride to the city was quiet, but it was a good quiet. It was the silence of decompression. Emma leaned her head on my shoulder. She fell asleep within 5 minutes, her hand gripping my arm like she was afraid I'd vanish if she let go. When we got to the hotel, the staff treated us like royalty. They didn't care that I was wearing an old suit or that Noah's sneakers were scuffed. They knew who I was. Or at least they knew what my credit card could do. We walked into the suite, and it was bigger than the entire ground floor of the house we had just left. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the city lights. The carpet was so thick you sank into it. There were fresh flowers everywhere. Noah ran in and immediately jumped on the massive king-sized bed. For the first time he laughed. A real loud belly laugh. He bounced up and down, shouting, "Look, Mom! I can touch the ceiling." Emma stood in the doorway, tears streaming down her face again. But this time she was smiling. "Dad, this is just the beginning," I told her. "Go take a bath. Use all the soaps. Use the fluffy towels. Relax. I'll watch Noah." That night we ate like kings. Pizza, burgers, lobster mac and cheese. Ice cream sundaes the size of footballs. We ate in bed, watching cartoons on a TV that covered half the wall. There were no coasters to worry about. No crumbs to sweep up immediately. No angry man shouting about noise. It was pure chaotic bliss. But the real work started the next day. I sat Emma down on the balcony while Noah was watching a movie with Marcus, who had surprisingly become a great babysitter. "We need to talk about the future," I said, handing her a cup of fresh coffee. Emma looked nervous. The trauma was deep. She was waiting for the other shoe to drop. "What about the house? The mortgage? Liam's debts?" "The house is being sold," I said firmly. "I bought the debt, which gives me the right to foreclose on the property. We're selling it as is. You are never stepping foot in there again. We'll buy new clothes, new toys, new memories." "And Liam?" she asked, her voice trembling. "Marcus's lawyers visited him this morning," I said. "Here's the deal. I offered to drop the extortion charges if he signs full custody of Noah over to you and agrees to a restraining order that keeps him 2 states away. However, the fraud charges, the gambling ring, the police aren't dropping those. He's looking at 5 to 10 years in state prison. By the time he gets out, Noah will be a teenager, and we will be long gone." Emma let out a breath she seemed to have been holding for 5 years. "He's really gone. He's history," I promised. We spent the next 2 weeks in that hotel. It was a cocoon. We needed that time to heal. I watched the color come back to Emma's cheeks. I watched her eat full meals without looking over her shoulder. I watched Noah stop flinching every time a door slammed. But a hotel isn't a home. And I had promised them a fresh start. "Pack up," I said one Tuesday morning. "We're going for a drive." "Where to?" Noah asked, hopping into the car. "A surprise," I said. We drove out of the city, past the suburbs, and into the rolling green hills of the countryside. We drove for about an hour until we reached a quiet, upscale town known for its horse farms and big estates. I turned down a long, winding driveway lined with oak trees. At the end of the drive sat a house. But it wasn't just a house. It was a sprawling white farmhouse with a wraparound porch, a red barn in the back, and acres of green grass that looked like a velvet carpet. "Who lives here?" Emma asked, looking out the window. "We do," I said, putting the car in park. She looked at me, stunned. "Dad, this is too much." "It's exactly enough," I said. "I bought it last week. It's fully furnished. The fridge is stocked. And there's a swing set in the back for Noah." We got out. Noah didn't wait. He saw the open space and took off running. He ran circles around the big oak tree, screaming with joy. We walked up the steps. I handed Emma the key. "It's in your name," I said. "Paid in full. No mortgage. No loans. No one can ever take this from you. It's your sanctuary." Emma unlocked the door and we stepped inside. It was bright, airy, and smelled like lemon and lavender. The kitchen was huge, with an island where Noah could do his homework. The living room had a fireplace that was begging for Christmas stockings. "It's perfect," Emma whispered. "And look," I said, pointing out the back window toward the barn. "I know you used to love gardening. There's a greenhouse back there. And 3 acres of garden space. You don't have to work, Emma. I've set up a trust fund that will take care of you and Noah for life. But if you want to, you can grow things again." She turned to me and hugged me so hard I thought my ribs would crack. "Thank you, Dad. Thank you for coming back." "I'm sorry I was gone so long," I said, my voice cracking. I thought money was what you needed. I didn't realize you just needed me." "We have you now," she said. "That's all that matters." The next few months were the best of my life. I didn't go back to London. I ran my company remotely from the home office in the farmhouse. I traded my business suits for jeans and t-shirts. I taught Noah how to fish in the creek that ran behind the property. We spent hours down there just sitting on the bank talking about superheroes and school. I found out he was actually a genius at math. Liam had called him slow because Noah was bored and scared. Once he was safe, his mind blossomed. He started reading 3 grade levels ahead. Emma flourished too. She spent her days in the garden. She started growing organic vegetables and rare flowers. She looked 10 years younger. The bruises faded, and the sparkle returned to her eyes. She joined a local yoga class, made friends with the neighbors, and started laughing again. One afternoon, about 6 months after we moved in, I was sitting on the porch drinking iced tea. Police cruiser pulled up the driveway. My heart skipped a beat. Old habits die hard. But it was just the local sheriff, a nice guy named Bill. He walked up the steps, tipping his hat. "Afternoon, James," Bill said. "Afternoon, Sheriff. Everything okay?" "Better than okay," Bill said, handing me a thick envelope. "Just thought you'd want to know. The sentencing hearing was this morning. Liam Miller got 8 years. No parole for at least 5. And the judge granted the permanent restraining order. Done. Official." I took the envelope. It felt light, but it carried the weight of the world. "Thanks, Bill," I said. "You folks have a good evening," he said, walking back to his car. I walked into the house. Emma was in the kitchen, baking cookies with Noah. There was flour everywhere. They were both laughing, Noah trying to put chocolate chips on his nose. "Hey," I said, leaning against the doorframe. "Good news." Emma looked up, wiping her hands on her apron. She saw the look on my face and she knew. She didn't need to ask. She just nodded, a peaceful smile spreading across her face. "Good," she said. "Who wants to lick the spoon?" "Me," Noah shouted. I watched them, my heart swelling with a happiness I hadn't felt in decades. I had built a shipping empire. I had made millions. I had traveled the world. But nothing, absolutely nothing, compared to this. Seeing my daughter safe. Seeing my grandson happy. That evening we had a bonfire in the backyard. We roasted marshmallows and made esmeraldas. The fire crackled, sending sparks up into the starry sky. Noah fell asleep on a blanket on the grass, his mouth sticky with chocolate. Emma sat in an Adirondack chair next to me, wrapping a blanket around her shoulders. "You know, Dad," she said softly, staring into the fire, "I used to dream about you coming back. But I was scared you'd be disappointed in me. That you'd see me like that and think I was weak." I reached over and took her hand. "Emma, you survived. You protected your son. You endured things that would have broken most people. You are the strongest person I know." She squeezed my hand. "I'm happy, Dad. I'm really, truly happy." "Me too, sweetie," I said. A year later, we threw a massive party for Noah's 7th birthday. The yard was full of kids running around. We rented a bounce house. There was a clown making balloon animals. I stood on the porch, looking out at the chaos. I saw Emma chatting with a group of moms. She was radiant. She was wearing a beautiful sundress, her hair loose and wavy. She was telling a joke and the whole group burst out laughing. She wasn't the broken woman scrubbing floors anymore. She was the queen of her own castle. Noah ran up to me, holding a balloon sword. "Grandpa, Grandpa, come fight me. I'm a knight. En garde," I shouted, grabbing a balloon sword of my own. We dueled on the lawn, laughing until our sides hurt. I let him win, of course. He stabbed me with a balloon, and I fell dramatically onto the soft grass, staring up at the blue sky. Noah stood over me, triumphant. "I win. I saved the kingdom." "You sure did, buddy," I said, smiling up at him. "You sure did." As I lay there in the grass, smelling the summer air and listening to the sound of my family laughing, I realized something. I had come back to save them. I had come back to be the hero. But in a way they had saved me too. They gave me a reason to use all that money I had hoarded. They gave me a purpose beyond the boardroom. They gave me a home. We had won. The darkness was gone. And as Noah helped me up and Emma waved at us from across the yard, I knew one thing for sure. We were going to live happily ever after. And this time nobody was going to take it away from us. And that, my friends, is why you never underestimate a father's love. You can mess with my money, you can mess with my business, but if you mess with my family, well, you'll end up like Liam, a distant memory in a story that ends with a big, wide smile.